We live, the SlugFest boxing. What's going on, my people? We back at it. Fight family. It's your boy Gus. I got my boy Rich in the building. This is the SlugFest boxing. Yo, Rich, how you doing, big dog?
What's going on, Gus, man? Another day to talk boxing, baby. We got a lot of dramatic stuff going on outside the ring and inside as well. So we ready today, baby.
Hey, like you said, we got a lot of action-packed stuff we want to talk about today. We're going to touch on the fight last night with Canelo and Munguia. We're going to touch on Ryan, Garcia, and everything that's been surrounding him over the last 2 weeks. And we're also going to touch on some of the hot takes, some stuff that's going on in boxing that may not be getting as much attention, but we're going to put some attention to it. So right after, we'll be right back.
I'ma need an encore. Scream to your throat soft. Why you think I ain't the go for? I can't go to 10 toes. At the top, you on the 10th floor. It's over, holla 10-4. I'ma need an encore. My swag, you would die for. You can quit, but no, I won't. Diamonds on my neck, make the scala let you laugh off. Haters think it die slow. I'ma need an encore. I'ma need an encore.
We back. SlugFest boxing, man. We're gonna jump straight into this, man. Like I say, action-packed show. A lot going on over the last couple of weeks. Last night, tremendous fight. We had Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia mixing it up at 168 pounds. All four titles on the line. This was in Las Vegas, Nevada, last night. It was a hell of a fight, man. If you've been living under Rock, you didn't get a chance to see it. Canelo did win this fight by unanimous decision. Was fireworks, I thought it was a pretty good fight nonetheless. Rich, man, before I get my breakdown on it, what was your thoughts on the actual fight, and if there's anything interesting on the card also you want to highlight?
Other than the fact that Canelo looked real sharp, he didn't get the stoppage, but he displayed the dominating factor. Jaime was looked at as a young fighter, and a lot of people gave him a chance against Canelo because they didn't know what Canelo they were going to get. We're going to get a John Ryder Canelo, or we're going to get the best of the best Canelo when he's in there with the Caleb Plants and names like that. But, he did what he was supposed to do, and I kind of feel like the boxing world last night kind of let him know what they want. And, my take on that is the Benavidez fight afterwards and everything. And my take on it is just, it's just so dangerous for Canelo. It's the reason why he's moving like that. Like, people can't accept that. That's a real test to him. And I feel like Canelo's went in the last 5 fights kind of not being tested outside of Bivol, to where he hasn't really been tested, and he understands what he's walking into once he does that. So I feel like that's his hesitation to get in there because of the suspected outcome. But I don't feel like he's ducking him. I just feel like he's understands what's at risk once you get in the ring with him versus any other opponent you face outside of Bivol. So yeah, that's my take. But he had a great performance. Vintage Canelo. You couldn't ask for no more from him unless he stopped him. But it was domination through most of the fight.
Exactly. I got you. Before I dive directly into that fight, man, I do want to touch on it was good to see Emmanuel Stanionis get back into the ring. I think Emmanuel has been out for like the last 2-3 years with, some injuries, and, he's had a step-aside fight in there. So it's just been a while since we've seen him, and he looked pretty good. Got in there with action-packed fight. SlugFest, he ended up winning that fight. Also, Mario Barrios, I think you was telling me about this fight. That was a good fight. And he was fighting Maidana's younger brother. So it was just good to see Mario Barrios back in the ring, and some of the smaller weight classes are about to get back popping. Jumping straight into the main event though, man. Munguia, man, he didn't disappoint me. Like, I was excited. He came out with a lot of fire, passion on him. He wasn't scared to let his hands go. He was actually connecting on a lot of punches. He had the jab going some. He was able to land some combination punches in there. Canelo, the only knock I have on him is last night let me know that his power wasn't what I thought it was. I thought he had a little bit more pop in his shots. Canelo was pretty much, absorbing a lot of his shots. I think a few of them maybe early in the first few rounds may have hurt him just a little bit, but it was nothing to stop Canelo from putting that front foot forward and saying, hey, I'm coming to get you. Also, I think the experience got to him, like I said, he came out with fireworks and Canelo just broke him down, systematically broke him down. His punch out wasn't as high, but he was giving him body shots, and halfway through the fight, Munguia took a body shot and you could visibly see in his face that he was hurt. Canelo dropped him in round 4. It was just a good performance, but for the fans, man, we got to see some fireworks. Two guys that weren't afraid. They met at the center of the ring, and the old line still got it, man. He showed he still got it. But I think Munguia can bounce back from this loss. But last night the fans did win. I think that was a fight. If I had to now rank the 168, still counting both David Benavidez and Morales, I would say that Munguia would probably be the 4th best fighter out of if you add them into that division as well. But Munguia still may be be safe at the 2nd best fighter in 168.
We still got Caleb Plant and Boo Boo Andre at that division as well. I just feel like Canelo probably took it a little easy on him because he could have really got him out of there because Munguia, he didn't never stop. But I'm not gonna knock him in his power because Canelo's got one of those boxing chins that's been proven. He's never been put on his back. He's fought other power, Triple G. He didn't get dropped in, so I didn't expect Munguia to drop him. But the punch out, Gus, this fight had 1,200 punches total between the two of them. That's Rick. That's a war if you want it. Like, if you can't say you watched the golfing tournament when you watch that fight. Other people might not got the outcome, but at 168, I feel like it's becoming a real lively division, depending on what Canelo does in the next year to 6 months. And I think but between Caleb Plant, Berlanga, Boo Boo Andre, 168 is looking nice. And Munguia, he's young, and I know he's got dog in him, but I don't know if his IQ is there yet to get in there with some of them vets. That's gonna key in on some of the spots and just make the fight a lot easier than it should be, even though you're highly aggressive. He'll never stop coming forward, but I don't feel like he's top 3. Top 5, yeah, you can put him up there 5 or 6. Top 3, though, I put Boo Boo and Caleb Plant ahead of him. And I am not going to give Berlanga the nod yet, but I'll give Caleb Plant and Boo Boo that ahead of him, and then put Munguia 4th. I'll give him that. 168.
Exactly. So I look at it like Munguia, man. I was shocked that, when they both got in the ring. I know the face-off, he looked a little bigger than Canelo, but once they got actually to the fight, Munguia, he rehydrated very well. He was a big guy in the ring. Canelo looked very small compared to him, but the experience and, Canelo just sticking to his game plan, I think that was just too much for Munguia, man. But like you said, nothing to hang his hat on. He lost to Hall of Fame, one of the best fighters of this era, if not the best fighter of this era, so nothing to hang his hat on. He got some fights in the future, like you said, Boo Boo Andre, we got Caleb Plant in there, David Morrell, depending on if he's going to actually move up or stay down. So
I forgot about that.
So he got some options for sure.
Yeah, he got great fights coming up.
Yeah, and like I say, I was excited about the fight, man. It was action-packed, though, so no slight to him. Golden Boy did their thing. It was about time they finally put him in there. At some point in time, he was going to have a step-up fight. Why not be Canelo? So not mad about that fight. So moving on to what's next for Canelo. For me, I only want David Benavidez. I see a whole lot of fans, a lot of YouTubers. Everybody wants David. The Mexican fan base, they want to see the fight. They want to see who the best Mexican is in this era. And I would like to see it. I don't want this fight to turn out to be like Anthony Joshua and Wilder, where we could have got it. And for whatever reason, not putting blame on Joshua or Wilder, but for whatever reason, we just didn't get the fight. We still may get it in the future, but I don't think it's going to have the luster that it would have had a couple of years ago when both guys still had their O at the time. So that's why I want to see this fight next. It makes the most sense. Canelo's pretty much wiped out everybody else at 68 besides David Morrell, and he's not more deserving than David Benavidez. So that's kind of how I look at it. And then when you add in the fact that what we're going to talk about in a few minutes, Dimitri Bivol and Beterbiev fight just got pushed back due to an injury. So, that puts that division on hold for a little bit longer. And I know David was wanting to move up there and try to, trap Canelo in a sense. So, however they can get it done, I would love to see David Benavidez next. But that's kind of how I look at that.
I mean, my take is I would love to see that fight too, but then I feel like with the fact that David, he kind of put it behind him, and he's already going forward to 175, and so I didn't feel like it was a realistic fight, even though he was at the fight and a lot of stuff. I heard Canelo invited me into the ring, but then I also heard afterwards, later on, after me and you had a conversation earlier today, that security wouldn't let David in the ring. So it was kind of like a pump fake, show, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So I feel like Canelo don't have any intentions this year of fighting David Benavidez. I feel like September may be the last time we see Canelo in the ring this year, and he might take the rest of the time off. But David, I feel like he should just stick to what he's doing. He's accomplished. He's a monster. You got one of the greatest of the era that really is not even trying his best to get in the ring with you. But you got other big fights lined up in the Bivol and Beterbiev situation. It's kind of playing into your part because I can see the Saudis saying, well, we'll get into that next time. We'll get into that.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of what you were just talking about, them not letting them in the ring, that's not surprising to me, just because there was a DAZN event and what PBC, I believe he is, with Sampson. So I can understand why they kept him out of the ring.
Davis even on record
makes all
saying
sense.
If he fights Canelo, he doesn't want it to be on DAZN. He would rather it be PBC. So I mean, I'm with him on certain stuff, like with his you loyal, you want to be like that. But at the end of the day, for that fight to get made, you're probably gonna have to concede to a lot of stuff. And not saying you have no opportunity to win, but don't take the Shakur route. If Canelo's gonna underball you, take the underball, get the fight, get the recognition. Do not think you are and then be sitting back, still chasing ghosts. But like I said, Davis moved on, and he's got another goal in mind. He'd love the Canelo fight. Most boxers in boxing would love Canelo fight. But I feel like Davis moved on, and he still has other goals in hand. He's not sitting back waiting on Canelo.
Exactly.
Which is a
So
good thing.
Still looking at the Canelo aspect of things, I know over this past week, Berlanga has arisen as a possible opponent for him in September on the Mexican Independence Day. How do you feel about their fight if that's the next fight announced for Canelo?
I mean, I really don't like the Berlanga fight because, bro, if Benavidez ain't did enough to fight him, you haven't. And Jaime was way more accomplished as a fighter than what you are, Berlanga. And then what was the other possible opponent was the Charlo, at least what we've heard in the rumor works or whatever.
Yeah, Big Charlo.
I mean, I don't want to see Canelo fight them guys. Yeah, there's other guys I would love to see a Charlo fight or Berlanga fight. Yeah, but Canelo, I don't want to see that. But I understand Canelo is very wary of what David could do or what David could gain if he wins. That's what I really think. Canelo's not ready to pass the torch. And I feel like that fight is going to be a passing the torch fight because David is something special. And Canelo's special too, but David's a bigger man, and he's just so I just feel like that's what's deterring Canelo. And David Benavidez would have never fought a Floyd Mayweather or Cotto. And now we're talking about Canelo in the ring with that monster. Like, it's crazy. But I respect it. Canelo put the pressure on himself, though. Canelo did this to himself. He wanted to move up.
Let me ask you about one more name since we're on the topic. The last name that arose, is one that arose a few months back, but people have been resurfacing. And a lot of people said after last night's performance, they're pretty confident that Terrence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez. What's your response to that?
Realistically, with the way things are looking, I really do feel like the Bud Crawford fight is more probable than than the David Benavidez fight in the near future. Within like the next year, I could see Bud getting that fight before I see Canelo challenging David. But I just feel like it's Canelo's too big, too like Bud. Like you may be talented and stuff, bro, but that's a whole different way. Canelo's proven, and I'd like to see it, but would I like to see Bud versus Canelo before David? No, I wouldn't. I'm totally against that, but I think it's more realistic of a fight just because of the stature and the status of what David is and what he brings to the table.
Hey, man. If Canelo wants that fight, I mean, if Terence Crawford wants that fight, you know, I'm all for it. You know, it's a huge weight difference. I think it's about 21 pounds total. He'll definitely be climbing a steep mountain. It'll be the biggest task he's ever had to take on. In my opinion, I think he's gonna, you know, end up getting battered and destroyed because Canelo's just a different monster. You know, I think Terence had the skill set to actually touch him and hit him as much as he wants. But I think eventually, you know, Canelo's just gonna wear him down, break him down, and get to him. And he may severely hurt, but man, a lot of people are gonna be feeling differently if this man gets seriously hurt in that ring. But from a talent perspective and a name perspective, you know, I like to see it. You know, we seen Roberto Duran move up 3 weight classes years ago and was successful when he moved up. So if that's the route he wants to go, I'm all for it. As for Berlanga, I really don't want to see that fight. I think he's levels below Canelo. I mean, I think he's a level below Munguia, who Canelo just fought last night. So I think whoever's managing him needs to slow him down a bit, maybe put him in there with Bubu, Andre, a Caleb Plant, a Munguia, and get him ready for that because, I mean, you're going to break that kid's spirit. You know, he got a lot of heart how he was talking to Caleb Plant. You know, he was popping off, saying a lot of stuff I think he shouldn't have been saying, but he's going to get a rude awakening. So I'm not as hungry for that fight as I would be for a Terence Crawford fight. So if I had to rank them, I'm on David Benavidez first. I'll take Canelo Alvarez, David Morrell third, and then Berlanga would be the last man out for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the Terence Crawford stuff. I mean, bro, you was hurt at 140, 147 by fighters like Mean Machine. You go up to 168, you make one lapse defensively, body shot, head shot. Like, I don't feel like you're going to be able to take them punches or get away from the skill set of Canelo, right? Like, no, and then you're the older fighter. Canelo's way younger than you. He's like 6 years younger than you. And hell of a more experience and been in there with way better talents in boxing than you. And we know Canelo can pop. And if Terence Crawford feels like his chin is better than Jaime Munguia's, he's out his damn mind. He's out his mind, man. He's out his mind because Mean Machine wouldn't have dropped no Jaime Munguia, man. Come on, man. We already seen that, and they're like, bro, I want this, Bud. We've seen you hurt, but against Gamboa, against Jose Benavidez Jr. I mean, come on, man. So I don't feel like the Canelo fight. Yeah, it's a big payday for you, but as soon as Canelo's glove touch you, I think we're gonna see the difference in you being the lower weight class fighter versus Canelo, who was in the weight classes 15 years ago, 16 years ago. Like, come on.
Exactly. I mean, I think we're pretty much on the same page with that. You know, so we'll keep moving right along, keep our eyes on that situation, see where both of those guys go next in their career. But moving along to some hot takes, you know, we got a few hot takes. Like I said, if you've been living under a rock, you know, you come to the right place. We're going to give you all the news. If you haven't heard earlier this week, the Beterbiev and Bivol fight is now postponed till later this year. They're thinking around the September, October range. Beterbiev, I want to say he had a meniscus tear in his knee.
Yeah. He needs surgery and everything. So, yeah, we're talking, man. I mean, we're at least talking about at least 6 months in between the surgery, recovery, and then I guess if he needs time, of course, he's gonna have a training camp at least 8 weeks of that. So we're talking the end of the year more than likely, man. That's what I suspect. Since he's going under the knife, I didn't know if he was going under the knife or but he's going. Beterbiev's going under the knife, so it's gonna be a while.
Exactly. So, you know, that puts a damper on some of the boxing before the Terence Crawford card was announced last week. This was the most exciting card of the year for me. You look at that Queensberry versus Matchroom 5v5. It's a bunch of fights on there that we want to see. But nonetheless, Beterbiev has had an injury, a knee injury. He'll be out to the end of the year. But I think this card can be saved, man. The co-main event is a main event on any other Saturday. So I think Big Bang and Wilder can step right into the limelight, and no luster be lost on this fight because you still got 4 of the good fights for the undercard, and now you got Big Zane and Wilder that could be the main event. I seen the Saudi Prince come out and kind of say he was hoping to save the card, but he never confirmed if he was actually going to move Wilder and Big Zane into that main event slot and keep it rolling. Hopefully that's what happens. But I heard what you think about that?
I heard reports that he's going to keep Bivol on the card, and Bivol's still going to have a fight, whether it's Beterbiev or not. But that opponent, I don't know. Now, see, this is where I come to the situation where, since this just happened, if David Benavidez wasn't on that June 15th card, he could possibly step in and face Bivol on the June 1st card. But like I said, it's separate promotions. The Saudis ain't involved with David or none of that stuff, though. So like that's an opportunity there I feel like was missed out on. But they really want to keep Bivol on the card. And I can see Bivol wanting to stay active because you don't need to fight just because Beterbiev is doing this stuff that he's been doing for years with the whole holding the fights up. And it's ridiculous stuff. Like now he's trying to wait you out when he's the older fighter. So you got to stay active because you could get rusty, but I just don't know who at 175 Bivol would fight to keep the main event card on that. I don't. You might as well just take him off the card and hope you can set something up in the future to keep him active.
Yeah,
if Beterbiev's going to be out for as long as I assume.
Yeah, that's the route I would go. Take him off the card. I don't see anybody in that 175 division that's left that Beterbiev or Bivol haven't already beat that you could throw in there, and it'd be a better main event than Wilder and Big Zane since Beterbiev is off the table. So unless you're gonna move him down to the undercard, which I don't think he would agree to that, it's a lot of money reasons behind why you're the main event and different things of that nature. So. I think it might be best, like you said, to just take him off the card and try to find either, like I said, stay busy fight in between now or get that exact timeline on when Beterbiev will be ready and just be ready for that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's about all he can do. Like, he don't have no other opponent. There's nobody that's like a worthy opponent that he could actually step in. It'd be a tune-up fight, but we can't even call it a tune-up fight. It'd be a wasting time fight at this point, and what you're going for next. Yeah. Even though no boxing match is a waste of time, but with what you're trying to accomplish, you don't need no extra fighter stepping in and taking your glory. And now he's the one getting the fight Beterbiev for no reason. Just wait out a little bit. Be a little patient, Bivol. You'll get there.
Exactly. All right, so we ain't gonna spend too much time on that. Like I said, we'll have a future show where we kind of do a deeper dive into it. Moving right along with our hot takes. Fire press conference this week. First presser, June 15th. It's supposed to go down. Tank Davis versus Frank the Ghost Martin. They had their first press conference, and it was fireworks. Tank definitely delivered on his end, and I think Frank delivered on his end, but it's just more so his demeanor. He's more of a laid back type of guy. He's not the same type of person that Tank is, but from a fan base standpoint, people want to see what Tank was given. He's selling the fight for sure. He's doing a lot of talking out there. So, what was your impression of the presser the other day?
It was just the fact of seeing someone who hasn't been around the bigger lights and that many people there to ask questions. Other than that, Frank was maybe a little shocked at moments. But, he got into it. He talked his stuff, and they went back and forth. They did what you're supposed to do. He stood up. He didn't try to act like he was overmatched. He's coming in completely confident. But like you said, it's all about demeanors and stuff. Like Frank is he's not the Ryan Garcia at the press conference type and all that. He's not that. He's more the laid back, calm. And I feel like Gervonta is trying to see what he is. Like, let me come and rile you up. Let me get you, you know what I'm saying? Because Gervonta's been there, done that. He's fought the Mexicans. He's fought big time fighters. He's been at the big pressure where all the lights is on him. He's had doubters and proved them wrong. So it's kind of like he's using that as advantage. Like, Frank, you ain't been here. You haven't been at this moment. I'm your moment, and I'm just not the guy. I just really hope Frank don't bring that into the ring. Like, oh, this is, like I said, we was talking earlier, and Frank Martin's eyes, I feel like he's looking at Gervonta Tank Davis like he's 7 foot, 400 pounds at moments and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like that. But that's just like, Frank ain't never, there's a lot of eyes on this fight. Frank ain't never been in this position. But we'll see how it helps him compete. But I honestly feel like this is a tune-up for Gervonta Tank Davis. I do. I don't give Frank much of a chance. I may be completely underestimating him, but I just don't give him no shot at all to win this fight.
So do you think Tank was kind of taking the page out of Ryan Garcia's book as far as, trying to get under his skin, doing a lot of, antics and different things at the presser just to see if he could get him off his game?
Yeah, I feel like Tank was acting like like the chick that just got told she was pretty. So now Tank was in there at the press conference like, I'm Tank Davis. You're Frank Martin. This is my show. Getting all caught up in that. I'm just like, Tank, just stay focused. You've been out the ring a while. And, boxing, it changes day to day. You the man today, Tank. But son, after that June 1st or June 15th card, man, people change on you quick, man. So I just hope you're prepared and understand that you're not getting in there with an untalented fighter. This is a capable fighter. So you may feel like you're better than him. You got a better resume and all this stuff. That's cool. Keep that energy, but do not underestimate or go in there like this is a walk in the park for you. Don't do that, because we see how things like that happens when fighters underestimate other fighters, whether they're on.
Hey man, or not. Hey man, go ahead with that. Hey, but look though, I was fired up about this, man. I've been talking about this fight for a while. It'll be the first time Tank ever fought this type of stylistic fighter, so I agree with you that he's definitely trying to take a page out of Ryan Garcia's book. See if he can get up under Frank's skin. And, to some degree, it looked like it was working, because I don't think Frank expected Tank to do everything that he was doing and talk the way that he was talking to him and different things of that nature. So it definitely got under his skin. And even went as far as to tell him that, I know that little chick you got over there, man. I know her personally. Really trying. So
it's the troll tactics. I think that's becoming a new thing. But we've seen this before in boxing in the past. With who was it? Was it Shane Mosley? And I can't remember the fighter or whatever. The guy that was blowing smoke in Mosley's face and smacked Shane Mosley's girl's ass and stuff. We've seen this before in boxing. It sells fights, and they need to keep it up for the most part. And in my book, I love the entertainment with the back and forth, but I just want guys to understand, like, keep it entertainment. Don't make it get personal. Like I was saying, like the Shane Mosley situation, and I forgot the Mexican fighter's name that touched his wife's ass, and everything got into it stuff. But yeah, I see where boxing is on the WWE stuff now. Like, it's like you got to have character behind your fighter. Like, not everybody's watching boxing every night tuned in. You know what they are watching? Twitter, YouTube videos, Instagram, other stuff like that. Build character behind your fighter besides just having these gloves on. Like football players, when they took their helmets off, half of them wouldn't even be recognized. But I like where boxing's going with that. I just keep it professional. We've seen it with Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. I'll eat your babies, fighting at press conference, people actually getting hit and stuff. So it's going to sell the fight. Promoters can't be mad if we're going to sell tickets. You can't get mad.
Yeah, like you say, man, they're going to sell this fight. I think it's going to be action-packed. I definitely think Frank's going to surprise Tank once he gets in the ring with his athleticism. But we'll see if it's kind of like that Canelo Munguia, to where Frank hasn't really been in there with anybody of that skill level. If that plays a huge factor into it, it possibly can. But we're definitely going to do probably a show where we focus on this fight as we get closer to it. But I just wanted to, get some thoughts on how that first presser was. I thought it was pretty lit. And
it was
some interesting things came out.
That's how you hype a fight up. That's how you hype a fight up.
Exactly. Moving right along, man. Technically, I think it'll be tomorrow morning, but depends on how you look at it. But for us, we're on the East Coast. But Monster Inoue is supposed to take on Neri tomorrow morning. I want to say it's like 7:30 a.m. Eastern time when they'll do the ring walk. So not sure if I'll be able to see that. I might have to catch some highlights depending on when I get up. But I wanted to get your prediction and if you thought this would be any type of a scary fight for Monster.
Oh, no, none whatsoever. I expect it to end like the Stephen Fulton Jr. fight. If not, if anything, quicker. It may be a little quicker depending on the type of time Inoue is on, because I don't see Neri having anything to offer that Stephen Fulton Jr. couldn't offer. So, I mean, like it's the Inoue stuff, and I'm really tired of it, of the fighters he's fighting. And the acknowledgement he's getting, and the man's like he just ain't did nothing. But if we gonna criticize Canelo for doing Jaime like that, I gotta criticize you for fighting Neri. For what? Like, I mean, just for what? I suspect you should win. You'll probably get a stoppage on him, and then we're back to this monster conversation when you ain't fought no big name. And none of the division champions and then you don't go outside Japan. So I really started to feel like if you want to stay in Japan, then make your boxing accomplice stay in Japan. You know, like that, like because it's ridiculous with that in that aspect. You ain't even fighting top guys. I can go to Japan and get W's, man. I really could, because I could be juiced up and all that stuff. And that's another thing leading into the Inoue situation as we're going through the PED problems or conversation right now in boxing is the fact of him not being put under the same testing scrutiny as other fighters. So, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But I expect him to win, and he's an accomplished boxer, but I don't hold him into the same accord as I do these other American fighters or even European fighters at that.
Yeah, man, I think the Monster, I definitely pick him to win this fight. I do think it'll be a little bit different than Fulton, just for the simple fact that Fulton was a smaller guy going into the ring. And I think Neri, if I'm not mistaken, is slightly bigger than Inoue getting into the ring. And I could be wrong on that. I don't pay as much attention to anything less than 126 pounds that much. I'll catch a couple championship fights, but I don't do a deep dive into it once we get down into those super low weight classes. But, maybe if he is a little bit bigger than Inoue, he might be able to do some bully tactics, but I just think boxing skills and Inoue's explosiveness, he's definitely going to overcome and probably stop him at some point in time. And I don't know what's next for him if he does do that, because it's not too much down there that really I think you can take a look at and say, hey, this guy might beat him, until he gets up to about 126 or 130 pounds. You might have a couple guys that you could throw at him. So we'll see how that turns out. But, I'm with you on this. I think he pretty much washes him up at some point in time.
Yeah. I mean, outside of Inoue, out of his weight class, I feel like the only big fight he has in the future coming up that we know for sure now will be Canelo Morton within the next 2 to 3 years, if Inoue is still in that weight class and still active in boxing. But like I said, just the whole Japan thing, I don't see with Canelo, unless his name don't change from where it is now, going to Japan to fight you. But I feel like Stephen Fulton did it, and if Canelo go, that'll be the next biggest fight he can have. But all these other fans, he's not fighting Tank Davis. He's not fighting no 130 guy, no 135 guy. He's not fighting Gary Russell. He's not going. So it's like I feel like he's on his way out, and we need to start treating it like that, because you damn sure ain't in the new term of boxing and what's going on in boxing now. When the O's versus O's and the best versus best. You're not, in no way you've been out of that for the last 4 or 5 years, man. And boxing has changed this whole trajectory. So you get your praise, but it only can go so far, son.
Yeah, I like Canelo Morton. I definitely think he's the future. It'll be interesting to see how Mayweather and them move him. Typically when they get a super talent, they like to protect them and move them in a strategic way. So, we'll see if they move him in a way that he aligns with Inoue at some point in the future. But yeah, I'm pretty much in unison with you on this one. think there's going to be a whitewash, and there ain't too much out there for him. So moving right along, I think we finally get to something that we kind of disagree on a little bit with Kambosos versus Loma. That's coming up next weekend. An interesting fight at 135 pounds lightweight division. I think the IBF belt, which was vacant from Devin Haney when he moved up, will be on the line. This fight will be in Australia, so it will be in Kambosos' backyard. But Lomachenko is definitely the favorite, man. So what are your thoughts on Lomachenko versus Kambosos?
I feel like Lomo's going to go out there and prove a point. Like, really, the same way he did Richard Cormier when he came off of the Teofimo Lopez loss, when he came off of that loss. Like, I feel like Kambosos, it doesn't even belong in the conversation of the 135 as we're talking about now. Is he top 10? Yeah, I give him that. But is he in the top 5 right now that we're talking about and who we're worried about fighting at 135? No. And I feel like Lomo's going to put his stamp on what Lomachenko is in this fight. Because, like you say, he's coming off that Devin Haney loss. And there's people out here that feel like he could have won that fight. There's people out here that feel like he lost it. But I see Lomo coming out there and just proving a point on Kambosos. And I feel like Kambosos don't have nothing to offer him. He's a counter puncher. But Lomo is an angle puncher and awkward, but orthodox at the same time. So good luck, Kambosos. Good luck.
Yeah, man, I can't really disagree with anything you say, so I ain't gonna say I disagree. Pretty much you were spot on with everything you said. I just think that Kambosos has showed me that, he's fearless. At sometimes when the moment arises, he can up his game. Just look back at the Teofimo fight. Teofimo was definitely compromised. I don't think he took the camp seriously, but that's not Kambosos' fault. Once he got in the ring with him, there was three belts on the line, and Kambosos did what he had to do. So coming into this fight, I think Loma's definitely way more skilled than him, but I think Kambosos got in his mind that he's gonna play some bully ball here and try to bully him around, cut those angles off so that Loma can't use all those angles and try to hit him with those different shots from different levels and stuff. And I think Kambosos is just going to try to rough him up and show, hey, I'm the bigger, bullier guy here and make it hard. So, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I actually, everything in me tells me to lean towards Loma, definitely destroying him. But that little something in the back of my mind is telling me Kambosos ain't going to make it as easy as everybody thinks it is. So, I can't disagree with what you say on that at all too much. So we ain't gonna spend too much time on that. That was our hot takes. Some things for us to look out for. We're gonna jump into another major topic. Once again, if you've been living under a rock and you need your boxing news, come to the SlugFest boxing channel, man. We're gonna give it to you all. We're gonna give it to exactly how we see it. And this next topic is all about Ryan Garcia. If you don't know, Ryan Garcia fought Devin Haney 2 weeks ago. He's been riding high ever since then, capitalizing on everything. And, I thought it was a smart play, pretty much how Ryan's been involved with Donald Trump, from Deion Sanders. He's pretty much just been riding high and taking advantage of everything. I've been all for it. You want to get a victory. No excuses initially. I gave my analysis that I felt like Ryan won that fight. And even if they had been the same weight, I still feel like Ryan would have won that fight based off of what I've seen. There's no getting around Devin Haney's defense. The defense was shitty for the fight. He had some decent offense in the first half, but his defense for all 12 rounds was just pretty much shitty. But recent news, as of this week, I want to say it was May the 2nd, we got news that Ryan did pop dirty for PEDs. One for sure, which is Ostarine, that has been confirmed 1,000%, and another one, Nandrolone, that they are speculating that's in the system. There's been some underground talks that it's been confirmed, but none of the big heads like Dan Raphael or Mike Coppinger or anybody big has come out and confirmed that second one 100%. So before I do my deep dive into it, I'm gonna let Rich take it over from here, and Big Dog, take as much time as you need and just break down from beginning to end, what you think is going on with the test, what you think is involved, and how you think it's going to end up at the end of it.
Well, I mean, with the fact that they got the results from the test April 23rd, and they waited till May 4th to drop the results, and then a couple hours after the results was dropped, Devin Haney was on ESPN. So I don't understand how people can't see how this was a correlating event and a planned event. This ain't like this just spontaneously happened. Then April 23rd, Devin Haney's younger brother got on Instagram and said Allah came to him and told him Ryan was going to test dirty. That was April 23rd. And it's just a lot of other factors in between everything that makes this seem like a witch hunt, more rather than an actual investigation. And that's why I feel like a lot of the hoopla behind it. Tank Davis was speaking on it a lot during the presser at the Frank Martin stuff, trying to say it's just this is the way the events played out, and the fact that y'all waited, if you had results, till Canelo's fight announcement, and y'all did a lot of extra promotion stuff, and then Devin Haney was on ESPN a couple hours later as the news broke. So I just feel like it's a hidden objective and agenda behind it. Like they want to tank the win, and the way things are playing out, I don't see how this could be legitly treated as PED infraction on Ryan just because the parties involved. Not to mention relationships outside of Snack, Conte, even with Alicia, Devin Haney. Like, it's a lot of extra stuff in between it, and I feel like a lot of people got ahead of what's really going on, and everybody automatically assumed Ryan was guilty. But we got fighters running around now that have tested positive and are still fighting, still having flourishing careers. And some of them was cleared, some of them weren't. Some of them had actual suspensions played out and stuff like that. So me, I'm a Ryan fan. I don't want this to be a black mark or a black eye on his career. I want this to be a legit W. So that's why I'm riding with the Ryan effect. But I understand that if all information comes out in this situation, you did cheat, and you're suspended, and there's repercussion behind it, then I don't got no choice but to respect it. I don't want it to be true, and I'm just pointing out there are other things and factors that's in between this drug test that didn't play a factor in between other boxers' drug tests. That's all I'm saying.
So before I jump into it, I'm going to ask you a question about one of the things you said. You said that a couple of things happened that you thought were, I guess, shady could be the word, as far as when the test results actually came out, and about Devin Haney's brother. So just your gut feeling, your opinion on how you feel about the situation. How do you think it went down?
What you mean? Like what?
As far as
them getting the information that Ryan was dirty?
No, as far as like I think you pretty much on board that that there's a dirty sample. We know there's a dirty sample, but now the question is, how did that dirty sample come about? So if you had to take an educated guess based on what you feel, how do you feel that happened?
Okay, one, there's two outcomes that could be this. Number one is the conspiracy outcome, where they think Ryan Garcia's sample was tainted outside of him or outside the people that was tested. That's the one conspiracy. The second thing would be that he took a supplement with the aspirin in it, but it's the so small the amounts that it couldn't give you an advantage and stuff like that. That's the second outcome, and that's what I'm leaning more towards of it being. And then that's another thing with the whole, how do y'all have the A sample there? We know aspirin's in there for sure, and y'all are still talking about this nandrolone, and y'all don't got the chart, y'all don't got the graph right there. Like, do we not have the A sample test right there? Like, so, it's just a lot of, I don't know if it's the fact of just who Ryan is and just the whole media presence behind it that's making it seem like it's more than what it is, or less than what it is, or more is involved than was involved. But it's just, this is the first time in boxing that's went down like this, and this type of stuff. I guess we might be seeing a new era. But like I said, if he's dirty, he's dirty. It's that simple. I mean, there ain't no arguing it, except were you dirty enough to gain a physical advantage? That'll be the next thing to come play. But you mentioned that when we first had this conversation, that after, if he is cleared or if the B sample does come back negative or positive, like you said, then they'll go to the levels argument, which is, that's just how it goes in boxing, because it's the only next thing you can argue. Well, it's in you. You can't argue that it wasn't in you, and this wasn't tampered with or nothing like that. So now you got to explain, how was this in you intentionally to beat Devin Haney, or was it accidentally, whatnot? And I just don't know, man. Then it's the whole being tested 4 weeks up to the fight, and then you only popping on the 19th in the day. Like, that's the stupidest steroid shit ever. What the hell? Who rocks like that? Like, I mean, it's just like, it's stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I want to believe Ryan ain't that stupid, but then some of his antics, him being young, I feel like a lot of stuff, a lot of decision making is based off emotions rather than logic, and because of how young he is and stuff. So, I mean, I don't want to believe it, but with the way you dominated Devin, and just the whole antics leading up to the whole stuff, and then the news just came out about you being on, you didn't help the cause none. And I just wish you would do more to help it now, rather than just saying I'm innocent. Because I'm saying that for you too. I need you to say what I can't say. I need you to say what I can't say, what you took, what you didn't take, what was around you. That's what you need to say, Ryan, not say I'm innocent. Like, I can say that for you. Tell the world what I can't tell the world. And I don't know, man. I don't know how much longer it's gonna wait before this really play out, to be honest, Gus. I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to be true. That's my take. I don't want it to be true. So I'm gonna present arguments to show that it ain't true. I'm not witch hunting them, but you're my colleague. You give me another perspective.
Hey, but you already know we're on different sides of the fence of this, but at the same time, your stance is a lot of people's stance. So I'm not gonna act like you're the only person who feels that way. There's a shit ton of people who feel exactly how you feel. With the tainted substance that was in his urine. But for me, I just want to make sure that people don't forget, because one thing I haven't been hearing people give credit to is that Devin is a victim here. In every aspect leading up to this fight, he has lost. Some of it was strategic by Ryan that made sense, and Ryan just played the trump card, and there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, when you put everything on paper and we look at this, we got to look at Devin is still a victim here. At the end of the day, he showed up just to fight. And I see a lot of people, not saying you, but a lot of people online and social media that, are dogging him out because the results came out. And it's like, Devin he ain't got nothing to do with that aspect of it. Now, once again, I'll say it one last time. Even if Ryan didn't test positive for PEDs, based off of what I saw, there was a very, very good chance that Devin still lost that fight because the defense was shitty. We can't, on my side, there's a lot of people on our side who are disregarding that fact, and they're just talking about PED. Oh, Ryan cheated, and that's the end of it. No, we still got to add in the fact that Devin did not look good defensively. So PEDs or not, there's no guarantee that would have changed that part. Now, where it does help Ryan, as far as PEDs, well, not necessarily help Ryan, but help Devin, is those punches would have been landed, but maybe if he's not compromised, they don't have the same effect on Haney. I mean, the very first left hook looked like that was probably the 30th one he hit him with, the way his legs, Bambi legs. So I think the punching power that he had, the ability to absorb punches, and sometimes to get that second win, all played into Ryan having an advantage. But that doesn't take away from his actual game plan and how he was able to land punches. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Devin's a victim here. And whether you believe Ryan did it intentionally or unintentionally, Devin was still in the ring with an enhanced fighter. So we got to make sure that we start there. As far as getting into exactly what the actual claims and the things that are said to be out there, I only see Ryan really having two outs here, two ways out. And a lot of people, you know, they've been commenting, a lot of casuals. I don't know, I didn't know a whole lot about the testing, but over the last few days, I've been doing a lot of research, just trying to make sure that when I go live, I'm not just talking out of one side of my ass and shit. So when you actually break this down and you really look at it, I see Ryan having 2 outs here. You know, Ryan came out and said that, you know, he feel like there's a lot of shady stuff going on and he's going to sue VADA, you know. But after doing some research on VADA, I think that's a dead end for Ryan, because VADA is almost just basically like a third party company who basically gives you instructions while you administer the drug test on yourself. So they watch you and tell you the steps pretty much. Bring the packages of which the A and B sample bottles are in, which are packaged about 4 different ways, that seals on them, and you actually can choose between 4 to 5 different boxes. So their actual capability of having the ability to taint the sample is very limited. You know, I think if Ryan had a case, it would be with water. And water is actually where they send the samples to get tested. And, you know, it's possible that when somebody was testing the A sample, that they had some contamination on their gloves or anything while they was testing it, and something could get into the bottle. So from that aspect, if his B sample was to come back and his B sample was clean, that lets me know that somebody in that water laboratory made some mistakes and contaminated his product, because there's no way that the A sample would be contaminated and then the B be clean unless somebody messed up there. So that's one way I see Ryan getting out. And then the only other way I see him getting out of this is Nonito Donaire went live about 4 or 5 days ago, him and his wife, Rachel. And Nonito, I think, was the very first person that was a VADA client. And he showed a video breaking down exactly how the process goes. But it was one thing that I thought was interesting. On the paperwork, there's a section to where you list all of the supplements that you take while you're leading up to this fight. And so if there is something that goes wrong with the testing and you say one of the supplements was contaminated, they're going to go back to that sheet of everything you had listed and then find the supplements that you actually have and test them. So if Ryan has supplements that he has listed or whatever he's taken throughout the fight and has them listed, and he has something on that list that happens to be contaminated, that's his other out. But if he pulls something and says, I'm just throwing something out there, hey, I took some Tylenol, but it ain't on the list, from my understanding, they're not going to accept that as an answer, because he didn't come forward in the beginning and say that he was taking that when he signed the contract. So that's kind of how I look at it. From that standpoint, he does have a couple outs, but it's going to be very hard to prove. Like you said earlier, there's been several boxers who have tested positive and have gotten off because they've been able to either tell their levels or consistent to some of the supplements they were taking, or they're able to tell, like I think Conor Ben was the eggs that he was eating or something like that, something along those lines. So there have been boxers that have got off, but there's also been athletes that have been popped forward. And one key thing, before I turn it back to Rich, we got to keep in mind here is that you are, as an athlete, not just a boxer, as an athlete, period, you are accountable for anything that goes into your body. That means if your trainer gives you a shake and is compromised, he's a part of your team. And I mean, you got to take accountability from him. So if it's anything along those lines that caused him, I mean, it'd be very unfortunate if he had somebody on his team that was slipping him something to help him out, but not realizing they were going to hurt him in the end. You know, that'd be a fuck situation. And, you know, hopefully Ryan would deal with that to the 8th degree if that turns out to be part of the situation. But looking back at another sport, DeAndre Hopkins last year, he went to I think a local GNC, local CVS, some type of store, and just got a regular over-the-counter product. It had something banned in there. He gave them all the evidence, the receipts and everything, and they still said, hey, DeAndre, you're responsible for what goes into your body. So that's something else that we got to keep in mind. So right now it's not looking good for Ryan. If you ask my personal opinion, I think I don't want to say Ryan did all of this for Devin Haney, because a lot of people have been saying, like, why would he do this for Devin if he's pillow-fisted? I'm of the mindset that if Ryan is guilty here and that this is intentional, It was more so he's been doing things for a while, and he just happened to get caught now. I don't think Devin Haney's on the horizon. Let me go dope up for this fight. I would feel like he's been doing stuff, but he's been able to pass the test. I mean, Shane Mosley was talking yesterday about his Victor Conte when he was working with Victor Conte, and he said that when he tested for his fight, no drugs were detected, but because Victor Conte went down for something else, they called him to court, and he had to tell the truth. And he said, "Yeah, I took steroids, but I passed the test anyway." So that lets you know that there is some athletes that know how to beat the test. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Like the shit, it sounds good, except for the fact that Ryan was tested 4 weeks up to the fight and then tested on the 19th and the 20th and passed all the tests prior to the 19th and the 20th. So that's another thing that doesn't make sense. And the drug that he tested positive for was a drug that you do not take for a one-day usage or something like that. So it's a lot of stuff. And then the fact that I said about Devin Haney's brother going live April 23rd and saying Ryan's going to pop dirty. 72 hours after the April 20th. So it's like, man, it's just, it's certain factors shouldn't be in there. Like if Devin Haney's brother did that, then man, I'm about to switch my religion, man. I'm about to become Muslim because he said Allah came and told him that. And if that's true, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way if it's like that. So what I really feel like happened, Devin Haney's younger brother, being a young man, overheard a conversation and relayed that conversation back, trying to mask it with the Allah told me this and Ryan's gonna pop dirt. Like, nah, you kind of exposed it there. So that's why, like, it's a lot of, man, it's too much stuff. And that's why I'm waiting on the B sample like everybody else. But then, like you said, even if the B sample comes back positive, then it's gonna be, was it accidental, intentional, what was the levels and other stuff. Like, there's 1,000 other things that comes into, even if he does pop dirty again. Like, and I suspect Ryan, with being a wealthy boxer, he's going to have the lawyers. He's going to do this stuff. He's going to fight it more than likely. How or when, I don't know. If he's dirty, then I suspect a suspension. But I don't feel like it's going to be dirty. Or if he is dirty, it's not dirty to the levels to where wins vacated and a 2-year suspension stuff. I don't feel like this situation going to end in that. If anything, it's going to end in a rematch between Devin Haney and Ryan. You heard it here first. That's what I really think this is leading up to. It's going to be a whole bunch because I don't feel like Ryan is a PED fighter, but he does have relationships with Canelo and other fighters that have legitly popped dirty. So, man, would I bet my check on it that Ryan's clean on the B sample? Nah, but while I stand beside him like he is, yeah.
Hey, one key thing I think you just brought up in the last couple of sentences, you was talking about relationships and how you had a relationship with Canelo. I think relationships are definitely going to play a part in this. I've been watching, like I said, doing a lot of research on this. And one thing I haven't seen people bring up that I think is important, if we're going to be equal and we're going to keep it the same, every time one of Eddie Reynoso's fighters pops dirty, whether it's Canelo, Oscar Valdez, or whoever it is, people said Eddie Reynoso was dirty. I mean, I think we still need to send an eye over there to Derrick James because this happened on Derrick James's watch. Not saying that Derrick James issued him with anything illegal, but does he know something could have possibly been going on? I think that part needs to be investigated because we need to be as fair as possible and treat this the same way we treat any other trainers when their fighters pop dirty.
Hey, let me ask you this: Are you alluding to that Frank Martin might be juiced up or something? Like, I'm like, what are you alluding to?
I'm alluding to if Frank pop dirty, now that's 2 fights in a row to win the Derrick James fighter. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm not.
That's what you saying. It's like, I already got the man. We know who the masked bandit is. Derrick James out here loading him up. Okay, I see what you're saying. But I mean, man, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But man, that'll be something else, man. I don't.
Yeah, he has no history of it, but like I said, man, any other time when Conor Ben popped dirty, I mean, everybody was on Eddie Hearn's head. So it's like, if we're going to be consistent, if he popped dirty, we also need to turn out of Derrick James. I mean, there may be nothing there, but at least they need to, have that as a conversation. And I haven't heard that as a conversation. So still talking about this though, let's take it a step deeper, man. I want to hear your thoughts on Victor Conte and Victor Conte's involvement with this whole situation.
Hey man, Victor Conte shouldn't be involved in nothing regarding sports. I wouldn't have that man involved with flag football or young girls tennis because of what he did. Victor Conte is the reason why Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire ain't in the Hall of Fame now and stuff like that. But he's allowed in boxing. He's had several offenses. Like you can change, no doubt. Is he the same man he was 20 years ago? Whatever, I don't know. But I just can't look at you're 6'9" to me because you got Pop doing all this shit. You went and jumped up with Vada and said, "Well, I'm gonna show you this stuff that fighters do or players do to hide mask, all this other stuff." But then you go out there and get relationships with fighters, start the snack program. Man, he shouldn't be in the sport of boxing. He shouldn't be in no regulated worldwide sport. Like if the sport is in the Olympics, Victor Conte should not be able to participate in that sport. I don't care what organization because of what he's done. I mean, he might be a changed man, but it's like, bro, you had great crimes and you can actually affect outcomes and legacy of fighters with your knowledge and stuff. So I feel like it's better just to keep you away from the game rather than saying, "Oh, we're using him to catch the people that's getting away." And I'm like, no, things have changed, man. A lot has changed. The supplements have changed. HGH, all this stuff. Like it's changed since Victor was doing the do. But I just don't like it. It's like a relationship with somebody. You go into business with a guy that's a known drug dealer, and y'all buy a restaurant, and now they think drugs is coming out the restaurant just because he's affiliated with it, even though it might not be at all, whatever. And I just feel like boxing needs to. You can keep Vada, WADA, USADA, all the drug taking it, but they don't need to have a man like that standing up there in front, being the forefront of the stuff. They can avoid it, man. They can avoid it.
Yeah, man. I agree with a lot of what you said, honestly. As far as being involved with sports as a whole and athletes, I think Victor Conte should have been banned a long time ago from being able to engage with actual athletes, boxers, NFL players. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't be allowed to do that. Where I think I differ a little bit is I do think it's smart to have him from a testing because if you look at it, Victor Conte is probably the baddest name, the biggest, baddest cat when it comes to this PEDs, these steroids from a name perspective that we have to use at our disposal. And if you just look at maybe the FBI or the CIA, when you get an international hacker or some type of hacker who's able to hack their protocols or their system, a lot of times they might turn around and use this person because, hell, he's smarter than who set our shit up. So this person can actually be of help to us. So I think from a testing standpoint only, and understanding how to catch people and how they want to cheat, he could be used in that aspect only. But as far as having snack and having athletes under you, yeah, I'm 100% with you. That's where it becomes a little bit shady with Victor Conte. But one key thing I wanted to point out, a lot of people have been pointing that they think Victor, even Ryan said it, he think Victor has something to do with this. My only pushback on that is Victor, since he started snack, has had 6 boxers that have tested positive for something. So I just felt like if he was really involved that deep, he would have found a way to get those boxers off and they wouldn't have came pissed dirty and had to have suspensions or whatever their punishment ended up being. So that's my only pushback on that part. But I agree with you as far as working with athletes, he shouldn't be doing that. But from a testing standpoint only and being able to control him in that aspect and get his expertise, I think he could be valuable that way.
Yeah, but I still think it's dangerous because as much as he can help you pass a test, he can help you fail a test. So that's what I'm saying. Like in the aspect of we can't use him for good and then think that's all he's gonna do because the man still has relationships out here. So the same fighter he's helping you catch, there might be another fighter he's helping dodge you. That's my aspect of it. Like there's no way to avoid that or not talk about that. Like, yeah, he's gonna help you catch this fighter, but then he's gonna turn around and help this fighter get off unacknowledged, low levels and stuff like that. Like that. It's completely ridiculous on that end. But that's boxing, and you know, boxing has a lot of areas behind judging, promoting, crew fights too, and stuff like that. It's just another area in boxing that's just undecided, man. Just like with the judging, it's like you gotta take what we get with boxing with that, and hopefully it'll change in the next up and coming years, at least in that aspect. But we ain't really heard too much about this outside of Ryan popping dirty in boxing in a couple of years.
Hey, and another aspect you got to think of too is the fact that so many people have popped dirty, from football players, NFL players, boxing. But I think this is the first time that it actually took off like wildflowers, to where you got casuals that are actually wanting to know the results, like what's going on here. So I think it took the boxing world by storm when they released it and they seen the outcry from everybody. So I do think they have more answers now than they had the other day, but I think they're kind of keeping everything under wraps until they get everything and then come out, because of just the response they've gotten from the public and how interested people are in this. So like you say, in the coming days, we're definitely going to get some answers. For the sake of boxing, if this is true, Ryan has to be punished. If not, we're going to have other boxers and they're going to have other cases that happen in the future. People are going to point back to this point. So this is a huge turning point to where the right thing must be done. I mean, if Ryan finds some type of way and it's legitly that he didn't do it, then, you know, there's going to be some people owing apologies, including myself, because in my humble opinion, based off the research that I've done, I'm leaning 80-20 that Ryan had some type of intent, whether that was somebody on his team doing something and him not having accountability for it, or whether he was on something previously and cycling on and off and it didn't happen. So that's kind of where I sit with it. But I do, he's innocent, I'll give my apology. But if he comes out and the powers that be, or the boxing elites, whatever you want to call them, if we have evidence that he intentionally cheated and then they just protect him some kind of way and give him a slap on the arm, I think it's going to be an uproar. So I'm gonna definitely keep a look on this over the next few days, and we'll have a video probably coming out soon on this as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, in the next couple of days, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have more information and really know where this is heading. I mean, with both of us understanding boxing, like we know the roads it could go. You know, like we know, like I said, that either it's gonna lead to a suspension or it's gonna lead to court and then levels and then other stuff like that. But like I said, if they hit him with an automatic suspension, we already know, like, yeah, this was a lot more than whatever. But I don't see the automatic suspension coming down. I don't see it playing out like that. And like I said, to me, I feel like a lot of this is going to end up in the being, okay, Ryan, you're good. Now it's playing into the rematch to add fuel, flame to it like that. That's the best outcome in my book with Ryan really not being dirty. It's just a tainted sample. Not saying Victor did it, not saying that or anything. It's a bad sample, beats that. But because I feel like if they do come back and this sample's negative, it's just, they're gonna have a lot to deal with a fighter of Ryan Garcia's caliber and his backing and follow to try to suspend him from boxing unlegitly. Man, that's a battle that I don't think boxing wants to have right now, because he's already showed you he's one of the faces. So if he's innocent and this is extra stuff in between, I hope they figure it out. But if he does pop dirty, I just hope it's with levels to where they'll be like, man, this is a pregnant woman walking around can have the same amount of levels. There's no way you use this to have advantage in the fight. But that's the best case scenario, because if he does pop dirty, then black eye on boxing and people owe Devin an apology. And yeah, it's like, man, it changes a lot in my book with Ryan. I was calling him before King and everything. You're gonna have to go in the Hugo Chavez and Canelo books. Like I still watch Canelo, but I already know he has popped dirty. And so, like, I just don't want it to be the outcome how it is, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard road forward if it is proven to be true. You know, it's not the end of the road for him. You know, there'll probably be some type of punishment, and like you say, you had to find a way to get back on track. But last thing on this, before we move on, we've been going for a little bit now, and we're gonna get out of here soon. Before we get off. My last question to you: if you had to put money, or you had to bank on exactly what was going to happen, if somebody was asking you right now, I want you to predict the future, and your humble opinion of exactly what's going to happen, what do you think the whole outcome is going to be? Ryan suspended, or Ryan moves on unscathed?
Oh, I mean, it moves on. Like, there's not going to be no punishment or nothing like that to where, like I said, W's are taken or suspension. I don't feel like this situation is going to lead to that. Just because of what he tested positive for, when he tested positive for it, and the fact that it's a drug in there for no. It's like if you took cocaine 2 months before a fight. Like, what the? You're not gaining so it's a lot of other like nuances in between the details of the story. They kind of like, wow, man, this don't make no sense. Like, there's no way he's walking around with Bernard Hopkins, Oscar De La Hoya, Derek James on his team, and he's gonna pop a steroid the day before, pop for a steroid, but we clean the rest of the time. I don't know. Like, when we see fighters get caught like that, it usually happens in camp. They come hit them randomly, pop. Big Baby Miller, Luis Ortiz. I mean, we've seen it happen before, so I don't know, man. It's a lot of stuff I do not know, and how things work and how stuff was gathered, information and all that stuff, to where maybe I'm completely overstepping my outlook of the situation. But I honestly feel like he's not going to be suspended for this, or there's not going to be no punishment handed down for this failed test, for this positive test.
So we got Rich on the put him on the hot seat. He says his pick is going to be that he tells Ryan's going to get through this. Going to be definitely going to be a battle, but in the end, Ryan's going to come out shining, and not too much going to happen. For me, I think that Ryan pretty much is going to be proven guilty, and I think they're going to try to appease both sides. And when I say that, I think some kind of way they're going to work it out to where Devin gets his O back, but at the same time, Ryan's going to skip suspension some kind of way, and it's going to end up with some type of rematch, like you were talking about at the beginning of the episode, to where we get back to some type of rematch. And I think they're going to give some type of give to both sides, so to speak. I don't know of any recent cases or ever known of that to happen, but this is unique in itself when we're talking about Ryan Garcia as a whole and what he brings to the sport from a casual look, what he brings for the sport from just making money. And at the end of the day, people at the top love to make money. If they can find a way to appease both sides and come out of this, they will do it. So I had to put money on it. Ryan will somehow be somewhat guilty, almost like taking a plea deal, so to speak. Devin to get his O back, and Ryan will still be able to move forward with his career. So that's kind of how I see it, man. Any last thoughts on this topic right here?
I mean, innocent till proven guilty, man. That's all I can say this Sunday. I might say something completely different next Sunday, but this Sunday, innocent till proven guilty in my book. But it's a lot of things on both ends that don't look good. Stuff on Ryan's end that don't look good. There's stuff on the testing side that doesn't look good. So, yeah, that's the whole. We'll see, man. We'll see how it goes, man.
Exactly. So that was a big main topic. Before we get out of here, man, is there anything over the past week or two that jumped out to your eye that we didn't talk about today that we think we need to shine a light on before we get out of here?
Nothing pretty much, man. I think we touched on everything boxing related, except for the topic outside of boxing, the Kendrick Lamar and Drake boxing match we got going on right now. I think they say Kendrick's up 4-1, so we got a couple more rounds to go. But it's looking like he's about to stop Drake.
Hey, I'm not as in tune to everything. I've heard a couple of the diss tracks back and forth, but I got to do my research and listen to the tracks that come out. But pretty much what you're saying is what I've been seeing on all the social media. So that's definitely some big time beef too. It's crazy that we got the boxing beef that we got going on, the boxing, and then you move to the music industry, and it kind of mirrors exactly what's going on in boxing. So that definitely is some big news that been going on this week as well.
Yep.
So that's the end of the show, y'all. You know, we kind of touched on some big topics, man. At Canelo, Munguia, we had some hot topics in there. You know, Rich broke down how he felt like Devon Garcia is being treated and how that situation is going to end up. I told you my point of view on how it's going to go. This is episode 4 of the SlugFest. And before we get out of here, Rich, if you got your Twitter handle, I know last week we had a couple issues with both of us giving our handles, but if you guys want to reach out to us, you know, interact with us on X or Twitter, however you want to voice it, let us know what your handle is.
Yeah. My name on Twitter, everybody, is Rich Boxing. To follow me is @boxing _ Rich 93908. Again, that's @Rich Boxing _ boxing _ Rich 93908, man. I'll see that. I put a picture up there. Y'all see me, man. Y'all see the face. You'll know it's me.
Hey, shout out to Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyles for having us and letting us be a part of the family. We definitely appreciate that. This your boy Gus. Follow me at @SlugFest _ boxing on Twitter. This is the 4th episode. Tune in for the 5th episode next Sunday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Mountain Time. And also look out for us to have some videos drop spontaneously throughout the week. So we're going to have some great content coming your way. And with that, we're about to get up out of here, folks. Until next time.
Salute.